Good evening, everybody. How are you today? Hi, Elizabeth. Can you hear me?
Good evening. How are you? Yes, I can hear you.
Great. How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Okay, that's great. Good to have you around.
Thank you.
Hi, Livette. How are you doing today?
Hello, good evening, Mr. Favor. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How about you? How are you? How is everything in India?
India is good. Everything is going on well. Yeah, the weather. Yeah.
Have you shifted forever or you're moving?
I'll be moving back to Africa. I think in 1 year time.
Oh, okay. You still have some
Yes.
time. You still have a lot of time there, yeah?
Yeah, I'm still having some time here, but very soon I will be back in Africa.
Yeah. Okay, no, that's okay. Good to have you around.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I can see, if I'm not mistaken, Marvelous, how are you? How about Magdalene? Are you there? Are you able to say hi?
I'm there. Thank you, Favor. I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay, great. And how has been your day?
Excellent. A success.
Great. Good to have you around. Happy to see you. Hi, Marvelous. How are you? I can see your mic is unmuted.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Okay, welcome. Happy to have you.
You.
Okay. So, welcome all of you to today's Financial Literacy Forum. I'm not able to live stream today. I'm not sure what the problem is with my Zoom connection. But what I will do is that I will upload this video as soon as we are done with the interaction. So if you're watching us, if you're watching us on YouTube, this is not a live session, but we had to record it due to some challenges that we had. But anyway, good to have you and good to see that you have decided to join us today. Welcome as well to you viewers on YouTube. So with that said, then I just want us to begin our lesson for today. Remember, what we do here on the Financial Literacy Forum is that we try to take financial literacy from a very different point of view. We focus on the mindset, okay, rather than just focusing on some skills that you learn, like budgeting, saving, and the like. Our approach is to equip you with the mindset necessary, with the right philosophy for you to make your own decisions, right? Because ultimately, the philosophy that you have, financial philosophy, is going to guide how you make your decisions, how you save, how you invest, and whatever it is, whatever financial discipline you put in place in your life. So that's what we do here. So today's topic is about the power of compounding, and we'll be looking at small, consistent wins and how they can improve our lives. Small, consistent wins and how they can improve our lives, and we'll then be tying that to financial literacy. So, with that said, I just want us to just connect with the video, okay? Because what we do normally is that we first begin with going through books, because we do believe that reading books is a very key vital aspect of your development in terms of also financial literacy. So we'll go through a book, and the book that we'll be going through is Atomic Habits. It's a very popular book. Some of you may have read it, some of you will be hearing it for the first time, but it will be a good place for us to start from. So we'll go through Atomic Habits together, a book summary, that is. And then once we complete the book summary of Atomic Habits, we'll come through and we just have a conversation as to what it means to have small, consistent wins and how we can tie that into our own personal journeys as we develop ourselves and as we grow. So, with that said, I'll be connecting us to the video summary and I'll be back shortly.
Atomic habits are small habits you can create to massively improve your life and get better results. Over 1 million readers have read this book to help them improve their sleep, relationships, health, and wealth. You, your team, or company will benefit by improving your productivity through implementing the atomic habit systems that I'm about to share with you. This is a book summary of Atomic Habits by James Clear. Let's dive into Chapter 1, The Surprising Power of Atomic Habits. Small habit changes might not appear to make any difference in the short term, but once enough habits are made, you will be able to see the drastic improvement in your life. The effects of small habits compound over time. For example, if you get just 1% better each day, you'll get 37 times better after 1 year. Results from habit changes take time to develop. You need to be patient. Focus more on your habits and systems instead of setting goals. Goals limit your results because, number one, winners and losers have the same goals. Because of the survivorship bias, we believe that successful people are successful because they set goals. We forget that there are countless people who set goals but fail. Therefore, setting goals won't have any real effect on the results you get. Number 2. Achieving a goal is only a momentary change. Imagine your room is messy. By cleaning your room, you will achieve your goal of having a clean room. The problem is that your sloppy habits caused your room to be messy in the first place. To solve this permanently, you need to focus on changing your habits instead of creating more goals. Number 3, goals restrict happiness. You set goals because you want to feel happy when you achieve it. The problem with this mentality is that you'll never achieve happiness. You will always delay it until you have achieved the next goal. And number 4, most people set goals, then once they achieve them, they stop improving themselves. Chapter 2. How your habits shape your identity. There are 3 levels of change. Outcome change, which is setting goals, process change, or designing your habits and systems, and identity change. The most effective way to change your habits is to change your identity. Any person can be motivated enough to eat healthy once or twice, but when you make it a part of your identity, you will feel obligated to stick with your new habit. To change your identity, you need to follow a 2-step process. 1. Decide what type of person you want to be. And 2. Prove it to yourself with small wins. Every time you read a new page, you are becoming a reader. Your goal should not to be to read a book, but to change your identity to someone who reads books. Chapter 3. How to build better habits in 4 simple steps. A habit is a behavior that has been repeated so many times it becomes automatic. The purpose of habits is to solve recurring problems efficiently. So for example, your problem could be that you are hungry, so you make a sandwich. You have already made a sandwich 1,000 times, so you don't need to think or use a lot of energy to make one. This habit is a feedback loop that involves 4 steps. Number 1 being the cue, you get hungry. 2, the craving, you get a desire to eat a sandwich. 3, the response, you make a sandwich. And 4, the reward, you eat it and satisfy your hunger. So let's say that instead of eating sandwiches, you want to eat a salad to lose weight. The 4 laws of behavior change are a simple set of rules you can use to build better habits. Here they are. The first is to make the cue obvious. Place the salad or ingredients in plain view where you're able to constantly see it. Number 2, make the craving attractive. Keep your fridge stocked with the freshest ingredients for the salad. Number 3, make the response easy. Keep your kitchen clean so that you can quickly prepare the salad or have the salad already prepared in containers. And number 4, make the reward satisfying. Always use your favorite ingredients so that you will enjoy it. Chapter 4. The man who didn't look right. Your habits are so automatic you often aren't aware you're in a habit loop. Therefore, to change bad habits, you first need to be aware of all of your behaviors. Pointing and calling raises your awareness of bad habits by verbalizing all your actions. So for example, when you feel hungry, tell yourself out loud that you are hungry. By using this system, you will notice habit patterns. Another way to use the point and call process is to keep a habit scorecard. Write down what you do each day. For example, if you want to change your eating habits, write down what and when you eat during the day. This will raise your awareness. Chapter 5. The best way to start a new habit. The 2 most common cues are time and location. To create a new habit, you need an implementation intention. The implementation intention formula is this: I will do this habit at this time in this location. For example, I will work out at 6 p.m. in my backyard. This will allow you to set a specific time and location that fits your schedule so that you won't have any excuses. To make new habits easier, you can use habit stacking. Habit stacking is used to pair a new habit with a current habit. The habit stacking formula is, after I do this habit, I will do this new habit. For example, after I brush my teeth, I will floss. Or after I eat breakfast, I will drink a glass of water. Chapter 6. Motivation is overrated, environment often matters more. It is easier to build habits in a new environment because you will not be reminded of old cues. Every habit is started by a cue. We tend to notice cues that stand out. Therefore, make the cues of good habits obvious in your environment. So, for example, put your gym clothes where you'll be able to constantly see it. The economist Hawkins Stern described an idea he called suggestion impulse buying, which is triggered when a shopper sees a product for the first time and visualizes a need for it. For example, items at eye level tend to be purchased more than those down near the floor. The more available a product or service is, the more likely you are to buy it. Chapter 7. The secret to self-control. The inversion of the first law of behavior change is make it invisible. In the Vietnam War, research revealed that 35% of soldiers had tried heroin and 20% were addicted. The discovery led to the Special Action Office of Drug Abuse Prevention to promote prevention and rehabilitation and to track addicted soldiers when they returned home. They found that when soldiers who had been heroin users returned home, only 5% of them became re-addicted within a year, and just 12% relapsed within 3 years. In other words, 9 out of 10 soldiers who used heroin in Vietnam eliminated their addiction nearly overnight. This revealed that addictions can dissolve if there is a radical change in the environment. In Vietnam, soldiers spent all day surrounded by cues triggering heroin use. It was easy to access, they were under the constant stress of war, and they built friendships with soldiers who were also heroin users. Once a soldier returned to the US, there were no cues to trigger the addiction anymore. To get more self-control, you need to spend less time in tempting situations. Do not rely on willpower alone. For example, don't follow Instagram models if you want to quit pornography. Seeing a sexy picture could tempt you to watch pornography. Chapter 8. How to make a habit irresistible. The second law of behavior change is make it attractive. Habits are a dopamine-driven feedback loop. It is the anticipation of a reward and not the reward itself that gives us the motivation to do something. Your brain has more neurons allocated for wanting rewards than for liking them. Researchers have found that 100% of the nucleus accumbens brain region is activated during wanting, while only 10% of the region is activated during liking. You can use this motivation you get from craving a reward to bundle it with a task you need to do. This is called temptation bundling. Temptation bundling can be used to make your habits more attractive. The technique is to pair an action you want to do with an action you need to do. For example, if you need to clean your room, bundle it with listening to your favorite music. Chapter 9. The role of family and friends in shaping your habits. People have a strong desire to fit in and belong to the tribe, therefore we usually adopt the habits that our culture has. We tend to copy the habits of 3 social groups: the close, family and friends, the many, the tribe, and the powerful, those with status and prestige. To build better habits, make friends with or join a culture where your desired behavior is a normal behavior and where you already have something in common with the group. If a certain behavior makes people respect and praise us, then we find it attractive. Chapter 10. How to find and fix the causes of your bad habits. The inversion of the second law of behavior change is make it unattractive. Highlight the negatives of a bad habit. Habits are attractive after we associate them with positive feelings, and unattractive when we associate them with negative feelings. For example, constantly read about the dangers of smoking to make it an unattractive habit. Chapter 11. Walk slowly, but never backward. In the beginning, a new habit needs a lot of effort to perform. For example, the first time you start to drive a car, it requires a lot of mental energy. You are not familiar at judging distances. Switching gears takes conscious effort. After a while, these basic skills become automatic and you'll feel more relaxed. Chapter 12. The law of least effort. Human behavior follows the law of least resistance. We will usually choose the choice that needs the smallest amount of work. Create an environment where doing good habits are easy and bad habits are hard. So for example, only have healthy food in your house so that you are not tempted to eat an unhealthy snack when you're hungry. Moving on to chapter 13, how to stop procrastinating by using the 2-minute rule. The 2-minute rule states that when you begin a new habit, It should take less than 2 minutes to do. This will make it easier to slip into the state of deep focus that's required to create good habits. You'll find that almost any habit can be shortened into a 2-minute version. Read before bed each night becomes read 1 page. Study for class becomes open my notes. The difference between a good day and a bad day is often a couple of productive choices made at key moments. These choices stack up throughout the day and can lead to very different outcomes. Chapter 14. How to make good habits inevitable and bad habits impossible. The inversion of the third law of behavior change is making it difficult. A commitment device is a choice you make in the present that locks in better behavior within the future. The best way to change your behavior is to automate your habits. For example, buying a better mattress or enrolling in a savings plan are single actions that force better future habits. Chapter 15. The cardinal rule of behavior change. When the behavior is satisfying, we are more likely to do it again. Your brain has evolved to prioritize immediate rewards over delayed rewards. To get a habit to stick, you need to feel good immediately, even if it's in a small way. For example, after entering the gym immediately, give yourself a reward like listening to your favorite music or start your workout with your favorite exercise. Making it satisfying increases the chances that a behavior will be repeated. Chapter 16. How to stick with good habits every day. One of the best feelings is making progress. A habit tracker is a great way to measure your progress, like marking an X on a calendar. Habit trackers can make your habit satisfying by providing evidence of your progress. Try to keep your habit streak alive. If you miss one day, attempt to get back on target as quickly as possible. Never miss twice. Missing once is an accident. Missing twice is the start of a bad habit. The problem is not messing up once. The problem is thinking that if you can't do something perfectly, then you should never do it. Chapter 17. How an accountability partner can change everything. The inversion of the fourth law of behavior change is make it unsatisfying. We're less likely to repeat a bad habit if it's painful or unsatisfying. An accountability partner can create this painful effect. We care a lot about what others think of us, and we don't want others to have a bad opinion of us. A habit contract can be used to make the cost of violating your promise painful. Chapter 18. The truth about talent. When genes matter and when they don't. The secret to improve your odds of success is to choose the habits that best suit you. Our habits are not only determined by our personalities, our genes also play a role. Our deeply rooted preferences make certain habits easier for some people than for others. A person who scores lower on conscientiousness, for example, will be less organized by nature and may need to rely more on environment design to stick with good habits. To choose the best habits to build, ask yourself the following questions. What feels like fun to me, but work to others? What makes me lose track of time? Where do I get greater returns than the average person? What comes naturally to me? Chapter 19. The Goldilocks Rule. How to stay motivated in life and work. The Goldilocks Rule states that people experience the most motivation when working on tasks that are close to the edge of their current abilities. This is when we enter the flow state, where we are able to concentrate for long periods of time. In psychology research, this is known as the Yerkes-Dodson law, which describes the optimal level of arousal as a midpoint between boredom and anxiety. Therefore, to gain motivation, you need to constantly push your skills and performance. Chapter 20. The downside of creating good habits. The benefit of habits is that we can do things without thinking. The downside is that we stop paying attention to little errors. The process of mastery requires that you progressively get better, each habit building upon the last until a new level of performance has been reached. Reflection and review is a process that allows you to stay aware of your performance over time. Here's how to review your habits and make adjustments. Tally your habits for the year and ask yourself, what went well this year? What didn't go so well this year? What did I learn? 6 months later, conduct an integrity report and answer 3 questions. 1. What are the core values that drive my life and work? 2. How am I living and working with integrity right now? And 3. How can I set a higher standard in the future? Life is constantly changing. You need to check to see if your old habits and beliefs are still serving you. This was a long one, so let's recap the 20 lessons we learned today. 1. Focus on habits and systems instead of setting goals. 2. The most effective way to change your habits is to change your identity. 3. Use the 4 laws of behavior change to build better habits, which are make the cue obvious, make the craving attractive, make the response easy, and make the reward satisfying. 4. Verbalize or write down your bad habits so you can raise awareness to change them. 5. Start a new habit by using an implementation formula, which is telling yourself, I will do this habit at this time in this location. 6. Make the cues of good habits obvious in your environment. 7. Spend less time in environments with temptations. 8. Make a new habit easier to adopt by doing it immediately after an existing habit, like brushing your teeth. 9. Hang around people where your desired behavior is their normal behavior. 10. Remind yourself of the negatives of a bad habit to make it less attractive. 11. Know that building a habit takes lots of effort in the beginning, but after a little, it gets easier. 13. Make new habits take less than 2 minutes to do. 14. Automate your habits. Examples are like buying a better mattress or setting up your own automated banking system. 15. Reward yourself for doing a habit, especially in the beginning. 16. Never miss a habit twice in a row. 17. Get an accountability partner. 18. Choose the habits that best suit you, not just because somebody on YouTube said you should. 19. Do your habit such that it isn't too easy or too hard. And 20. Constantly reflect and review for errors in your behavior.
Hello. So I think we have seen the video that we have just watched on the habits compounding. That's atomic habits, right? Yeah. So with that said, any views on the book Atomic Habits? Anyone who's read it before? Anyone who has a comment on the video maybe before we proceed to the next part?
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Favor, for that video. I think one of the most important part that I have learned, of course, I've read the book once, but I think something that I have realized that the environment that you are going to create is going to matter the most, because once you are trying to do all the things, all the activities in the same environment, it becomes so boring. So I think it's something that I have realized that what I do personally, I have associated certain environments with certain activities. For example, if I get up and sit on the chair, it means I'm going to do something like reading that needs my my full attention. Unlike doing the same activities in the same place, like if you are in the bed, you are reading, it becomes so boring. I think it's something that is profound. Then the other issue of making things, the bad habits, uncomfortable or very difficult to do, it's also something that I've realized because, for example, this generation that we are in, especially the Gen Zs, we are used to using our phone. So when it comes to actually taking charge of your life, for example, you want to read a book, reading the pages, I think maybe you know that social media distracts you. Like for me, this is what I usually do. I take away my phone, making it difficult for me to access it so that I can focus on other things. I think this is something that I have seen, and I've seen it working on my personal level. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for the video. Yeah.
Okay, great. I appreciate that feedback. So I have a question for us to then begin our discussion. I saw Elizabeth had a hand there. So maybe, Elizabeth, if I can indulge you a little, you can help with the question. What are small consistent wins? What do you think? How could you define what a small consistent win is? Hi, Elizabeth, are you there?
Yes, I'm there. Thank you for that. Okay, the small consistent wins
The volume is a
are
little
the
low.
habits.
We can hear you now.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, I was saying that the small consistent wins are sort of the habits that we adopt in order to get to where we want to get to. if we
Mhm.
tend to appreciate the little small wins that we achieve, it builds motivation,
Mhm.
and it tends to build our character, and it boosts our confidence. So
Mhm.
doing those wins, getting to appreciate those small wins each and every day makes our motivation to be boosted, as well as boosting our confidence.
Okay, so
Thank
I
you.
want us to just do an interesting exercise. So I'm going to be showing you some pictures of famous people, probably people that we know, and they're famous in a particular field. So what I want to do is imagine you're advising someone on things that they can do, habits they can adopt to become such type of a person. What would you tell them? Okay, so let's just go through that exercise together. So I'll start with the first picture. This is a slide of Aliko Dangote. He's a billionaire from Nigeria. So Livette, you're advising someone on habits they should adopt to become like Dangote. What would you tell them?
Yes, of course, it's a bit tricky because I think these guys are multifaceted. But
Mhm.
what I would advise them is to say, be consistent and invest your resources in the things that matter. I think that's what I can say, because I think there is a lot to talk about them. And
Yeah,
according to my research about him, there is a lot to say actually.
we can focus on small consistent wins because that's what this conversation is about. So you could just give like small wins that they could do, right? Which you said being consistent and just to recall.
Okay. So I think consistently in making investment, I think that's what I would say, because I understand that this guy is someone who is investing each and every time. So I think, yeah, small investments can actually help you to get there, because I think if you can invest maybe probably in a business, maybe a small amount of money, maybe you have managed to invest $50. That one is, we can say it's a small amount, but that habit of being an investor can actually grow until you reach their level.
Okay, that's actually very interesting. Thanks for that. How about who else can give a point of view there? Magdalene, are you there? Or Mabelas? If you had to advise somebody on becoming Dangote.
Thank you. Thank you. One of the things I would tell somebody is about saving,
Yeah.
learning to save, learning to prioritize your activities. You win. You prioritize a day. You follow it. You follow the set schedule. You win that consistency. Then gaining knowledge on areas you want to be an expert in your business. Just small skills every now and then would lead you to the place you want to be. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for that. Let's pull up another picture. This is Usain Bolt. He's notably the fastest man alive. So if you want to advise somebody on the small wins that they can do to become Usain Bolt, Elizabeth, what would you tell the person?
Okay. All right. Unfortunately, I didn't see the picture that you're sharing, but anyway, I'll give my view on that. I would encourage him to be consistent, because looking at Usain Bolt, from where he's come from up to now, he's been consistent with his sporting career, and it has earned him a lot of medals, and he's now recognized, and he's someone who has really made it in the sporting field. So I would just encourage consistency.
Okay. Thanks for that, Elizabeth. Marvelous, are you there? Are you able to contribute on what action you can advise? If you have to speak, you have to unmute first, huh? Okay, so let's proceed while we are waiting for Marvelous to come on. I have another person for you. And this is Barack Obama. So if you wanted to advise somebody to become Barack Obama, what would you tell them? What actions can they take? What small wins can they start taking today? Magdalene, what do you think?
Public speaking.
Okay, that's a good
Start
one.
addressing two people.
Yeah.
Uh, graduate to 10.
Yeah.
You know those small wins.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
is one presentation. That is presentation. Public speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Um, solving societal issues, the smaller
Mm-hmm.
bits of them, and celebrating any win you get, regardless of the societal issue you are addressing.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Okay. So for all those who want to become like Obama, you've gotten some good advice there from Magdalene. Thanks for that, Magdalene. How about you, Livette? What do you think? Somebody wants to become Obama. What small consistent wins can they take today?
What I can say, just adding on to what Magdalene said, I think it speaks to public engagement. Be a people person. I think that's the first
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Public engagement. That's what I see from Barack Obama. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting perspective. How about Rihanna, Livette?
Um, for Rihanna, I think it speaks about um mastery of the skill. Like for her, I think it's all about she has mastered whatever she does. So what I could say is for Rihanna, I think in the context of getting to be like her because she's someone in the music industry, it speaks
Yeah.
to mastering the skills that you have in terms of maybe if it's music, make sure that you know the notes, you know everything that you're gonna perform. I think
Yeah.
that's the small things that you can do. You can master the skill that you have, because I think for her, what makes her stood out is because she has mastered the skill.
Yeah. I hear you. By 16, she was already winning awards. So you have a point there, Livette. Thanks for that. And maybe let's just look at one more person. That's Pastor T.D. Jakes. These are very popular people, and I believe also T.D. Jakes is somebody who people know. Elizabeth, if somebody wants to become like Pastor T.D. Jakes, what would you tell them? What small wins can they start practicing today?
Okay, with TGGX, I would say maybe being persistent and having that dynamic character and the dynamic preaching style that he's got in order to influence people. So I think I would say, yeah, the dynamism in him would be a key factor.
Yeah. Okay, I appreciate that feedback. One thing I can also add to that is start reading the Bible. That's what I can tell them. You have to become like Pastor TJ. So
Of
start reading
course,
the
of
And
Bible.
course.
praying every
And
day.
praying. Start praying every day as well. Thanks for that, Magdalene.
That's
Yeah,
true.
so you know what's interesting about this exercise that we've just done? It looks like a very simple exercise, but if you think about it, this exercise makes us put into perspective what actions, small actions you can start taking. You know, when we look at our heroes or when we look at what we want to become in the future, it looks very far, okay? But the thing is that there's nothing, you can break down that particular character that you're admiring or aspiring to be. You can break them down into small, simple practices you can start doing today. And they don't have to be abstract things. By abstract, I mean don't have to think of them just in terms of consistency, because that's a very abstract term. Consistent in what? For example, you get the sense. So we got maybe also we don't have to look at them like as perseverance in what area you get. So the more specific we get, like the more what word can I use? The more absolute we get, yes, the more defined we get, the better. For example, like Usain Bolt, you could start running. Okay, that's something you could start doing. You could start with seeing how fast you can do a 100-meter race, and then start improving from there, right? Every day you go to the racetrack, you exercise, you run, and you begin to improve daily. Those are small steps. Of course, there's much more that Usain Bolt has done, but it's a start, right? It's a starting point. So these are things that we can get to consider. But at the end of the day, we can ask ourselves a very simple question. How can we tie this to financial literacy? And if you want to tie this to financial literacy, I always remember this statement every time. This statement says, work on being and not on having, because when you are, you will have. Okay, work on being and not on having, because when you are, you will have, right? And when we think about this statement, it's a very powerful statement because your financial discipline will be influenced by the person you aspire to become, right? Apart from also the environment that we have learned about from Atomic Habits, your aspiration as well is going to influence the person that you want to become. So your environment, your aspiration should be able to be aligned together. And once you align that together, you can be able to achieve what you need to achieve as far as the financial success that you want to have is concerned, right? Yeah, so that's basically a short exercise that I wanted us to go through. Now that we've gone through that exercise, we're just going to connect to the last part of today's interaction. In the last part, what we normally do is that we go through success stories of organizations that are very successful. So today, we'll be looking at Amazon. The reason why we'll be looking at Amazon is because it fits so well with the theme of compounding, okay? So if you don't know what Amazon is an e-commerce store. That's what most people know it to be. It's more than that, but people know it to be an e-commerce store. So we're just going to look at how it became the giant it is today, what they had to do, what they had to go through. And you're going to see really how small beginnings can really grow into big wins ultimately, right? With the right type of growth and compounding effect and focus. Okay, so I'll connect us to the story of Amazon. And then once we go through the story of Amazon, we'll be back just to conclude the discussion for today.
Hi there, who are you?
I'm Jeff Bezos.
And what is your claim to fame?
I'm the founder of Amazon.com.
Amazon. Most of you know it as the online marketplace where you can buy anything from 6-foot tall, 150-pound Bigfoot statues to Nicolas Cage pillowcases. Yeah, Amazon sells pretty much everything. In fact, they currently have a selection of over 100 million different products to choose from, and they also shipped about 5 billion items last year alone. That accounts for nearly 40% of everything sold on the internet. But even though Amazon is known by consumers as a company that makes money by selling products online, that actually isn't how Amazon makes money. In fact, Amazon loses money on nearly every single purchase that is made through their website. So how did Amazon make its money? How is it profitable? And how did they become the mammoth of an e-commerce company like they are today? Well, it actually started off with fairly modest beginnings. This is the story of Amazon. Let's take you all the way back to the 1990s when the top fads were Beanie Babies, Tamagotchis, and yes, the internet.
Allison, can you explain what internet is?
It's a giant computer network.
Oh, I thought you were going to tell us what this was.
It's like a computer billboard.
It is true that when I was a kid, the information superhighway, as we called it, was an unknown but growing sector of the economy. Actually, the term growing may be a little bit of an understatement in this case because the growth of e-commerce in 1994 was nearly 2,300%. A young Wall Street executive named Jeff Bezos had been paying attention to the growth of the internet and decided to leave his Wall Street firm in order to start an e-commerce company. He did this because he had something which he called a regret minimization framework, which meant that he never wanted to wake up one day when he was 70 years old and regret not trying to start a business with a massive growth opportunity like the internet. So Mr. Bezos packed up, moved to Seattle, and began to work on a business plan for his new e-commerce company, which he called Cadabra Inc. Not what you were expecting, I'm guessing. He then went to legally incorporate the company, Cadabra Inc., except that his lawyer misheard the company name and incorporated it as Cadaver Inc., which was a little bit too dark for Bezos' liking, so he came up with another name, Relentless. Again, I'm guessing that's not what you were expecting. Bezos purchased Relentless.com in September of 1994, but after his friends told him that it sounded too sinister, he ended up settling on Amazon.com. One little side note or fun fact here is that if you were to type in Relentless.com into your address bar or into Google, you'll find that it redirects you to Amazon.com. So the next thing Bezos did was he created a list of 20 categories of products that could be sold on his website. And he specifically wanted a wide variety of products to exist within each one of those categories. He then narrowed it down to 5 categories. They were compact discs, computer hardware, computer software, videos, and books. Eventually, he decided to focus in on books due to the high demand of books, the large amounts of titles available, and the low price point. Within 2 months of launching Amazon.com, the company had sold books in 45 countries and was making over $80,000 per month. Little did they know that within 25 years, Amazon would soon be making $80,000 every 14 seconds. Revenue for Amazon continued to grow over the next couple of years, so they decided to go public in 1996 and they were listed on the NASDAQ. Amazon stock IPO'd at the equivalent of $1.50 price per share. And when you look at Amazon's stock price today, which is a cool $1,500, you can do the math and calculate that if you invested $10,000 in Amazon's IPO in 1996, it would be worth roughly $10 million today. However, Amazon would hit a few rough patches over the next few years. Barnes & Noble sued Amazon in 1997, alleging that Amazon's claim to be the world's largest bookstore was false because it isn't a bookstore at all, it's a book broker. The suit was settled out of court, and Amazon continued to call itself the world's largest bookstore. Amazon was then sued again by Walmart in 1998, alleging that Amazon stole some of Walmart's secrets by hiring former Walmart executives. The suit was also settled out of court. Despite these lawsuits, Amazon continued to grow at a tremendous rate by mainly selling books. But selling just books was not good enough for Jeff Bezos. So later in 1998, the company made a big decision to expand beyond books and started selling a little bit of everything. This was the first step that Amazon took towards becoming the everything store. The decision to start selling everything made Amazon's revenue jump to nearly $1 billion, cementing itself as one of the giants of the e-commerce industry. Investors soon became very fond of Amazon and its upside potential, which made Amazon's stock price reach $113 per share in 1999, and indirectly making Jeff Bezos a billionaire and Time's Person of the Year. It very much seemed like nothing could go wrong for Amazon. However, Amazon was amongst many other tech companies that seemed to be going through a golden age of tech sector investing within the stock market. But this was the exact opposite of a golden age. At the time, investors thought investing in new tech startups with zero profit and very little revenue was a fantastic idea. In fact, most investors didn't even know much about what they were investing in. They just heard about the crazy returns that these tech investments were getting, so they just decided to go with the flow and gamble with their money without knowing much about how they were getting their returns. Luckily today, we don't have anything like that out there, so don't worry about this. This senseless investing in the late 90s from Wall Street caused a massive tech bubble or dot-com bubble in the stock market. For proof of how crazy some of these tech investments were, here are some companies that were valued at near or over $1 billion at the time with little to no revenue. Broadcast.com, GeoCities, TheGlobe.com, Healthion, Inktomi, Actua, VerticalNet, ThinkTools, Infoseek, Global Crossing, Commerce One, and there are actually tons of other ones, but covering all of the billion-dollar tech companies that went bust during the tech bubble would take all day. So how does this relate to Amazon? Well, after investors came to their senses and realized that companies that don't have a product yet shouldn't be worth $2 billion, they decided to pull their money out of the overvalued tech sector. This caused Amazon's stock price to fall from $113 at its high to $5.51 at its low. That's a 95% drop. This may not seem like it should mean much to a company because the stock price has very little to do with the day-to-day operations of a company, even dramatic swings like that. But it does certainly affect a company's access to capital and financing, which are usually vital for startup tech companies like Amazon. Needless to say, most young tech companies did not survive the tech bubble bursting. However, eBay, Priceline, SanDisk, Shutterfly, and Amazon were some of the few that managed to make it out alive. Over the next few years, Amazon would start making very modest profits. Nothing too special, but they weren't growing as fast and they became somewhat stagnant as a company. So they had to try something else. In 2005, they thought, what if we offered free 2-day shipping within the United States on select products? They called this Amazon Prime. However, this was the second most important move that Amazon would make in 2005, but we will come back to that in a second. The move to give free 2-day shipping on a lot of products would actually make the company lose money on every single product that was shipped due to the increased cost of this fast shipping. And to this day in 2018, Amazon still loses money on every single product that is sold on their website. So how does Amazon make a profit? IMDb, Audible, Zappos, Twitch, Whole Foods. What do these companies have in common? Well, all of these companies are worth over $1 billion and all are owned by Amazon. Even though these subsidiary companies do not affect Amazon's bottom line that much in terms of revenue, what I wanted to show you is that a lot of giant companies have a business strategy where their main product or service is not profitable, like Amazon's marketplace, but several of their smaller subsidiaries' products or services are profitable. So let's bring this back. Remember when I said that Amazon Prime was the second biggest decision that Amazon made in 2005? Well, that's because the biggest decision, at least in my opinion, was starting a subsidiary company called Amazon Web Services, or AWS for short. AWS does a ton of different things, but to try and simplify it, AWS is a cloud computing company that hosts websites and applications for customers and other businesses. For example, let's say you have a great new business idea, Tinder, but for dogs. Let's call it Dogger. In order for you to build Dogger and have it be connected to the internet, you will need to put it on a server. There are plenty of companies that will cut corners and let you host a personal blog on part of a server for about $4.95 a month. But if you want to build a big company, you will likely need 1 to 10 full servers to start, and each one of these will cost you between $2,000 and $5,000 a piece. And for a lot of small businesses that are just starting out, that can be really unaffordable. So AWS lets you rent out servers based on your needs, and the price is variable depending on your usage. But it usually ends up being around $500 to $1,000 per year depending on your company. That's much more reasonable for a startup like Dogger. So to summarize what AWS does is they offer a very affordable way for businesses to host large-scale websites. This would become very vital to Amazon in the future. In fact, over the next 13 years, AWS would end up growing at a rate faster than Amazon Marketplace. Roughly 34% of all websites today use Amazon Web Services as a platform. Meanwhile, the next 3 biggest competitors, Microsoft, Google, and IBM, own 11%, 8%, and 6% of that share respectively. So how important is AWS to Amazon as a whole? Well, let's break down their financial information. Amazon Marketplace made $160 billion in revenue last year, but had a loss of $200 million, largely because of the shipping costs. This means that they had a loss margin of 0.125%, which also means that on every single product that is sold through their website, Amazon loses, on average, 0.125%. That doesn't sound like a great business strategy to me. Step in Amazon Web Services. AWS made $17.5 billion in revenue last year, $4.3 billion of which was profit, meaning that AWS has a profit margin of 24.5%. So, even though AWS makes up only 9.8% of Amazon's revenue, it makes up nearly 100% of Amazon's profit and cancels out any losses that Amazon Marketplace may acquire from expanding its control over online shipping using Amazon Prime. And I cannot stress the importance of this enough because AWS gave Amazon Marketplace the ability to take losses on all of its transactions while expanding Amazon Prime to what we know it is today. This allowed Amazon to really leave other e-commerce competitors like eBay in the dust. However, while Amazon was on the path to becoming this e-commerce giant, it also had some downsides along the way. For example, Amazon has gotten in trouble for allegedly not paying taxes and for having an anti-competitive advantage over other storefront businesses because Amazon was not really forced to pay sales tax up until 2011. They have also gotten in trouble many times for allegedly having poor working conditions. One time in 2011, warehouse workers in Pennsylvania had to carry out work in 38 degrees Celsius heat, which allegedly made some employees suffer from dehydration and even faint. This was allegedly because loading bay doors were not allowed to be open to allow fresh air inside the warehouse because of Amazon's concerns over theft. So, what did Amazon do? They paid for an ambulance to sit outside on call to cart away any overheated employees. The company eventually installed air conditioning at this warehouse. Another gripe with Amazon comes from businesses that sell on Amazon. Half of Amazon Marketplace is populated by small business owners and people who make a living off of selling things online. You may have actually heard me talking about why you should sell things on Amazon in past videos. However, in the past few years, when Amazon sees that a product is selling well on their website, they make their own version of that product and undercut the original seller, and rank their product ahead of the small business owner that originally posted the product. This has made small business owners unable to compete on Amazon's website and lose an essential portion of their income. But what if you
Hello everyone. So yeah, that was the video of Amazon. Milton, good to see you. I think your internet is shaky, so I can't hear you, but I can see you.
Yes,
I can hear you now.
I'm Mr. Favor. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, Milton. Sorry, your network is really bad, but I am good. At least I heard you greet me, so I am very fine, and I'm happy to see you. Okay, so let's conclude for today's interaction. We've just gone through the story of Amazon. Towards the end of that story, we hear them talking about how, as a big company, Amazon basically becomes a bully, right? But that's not the focus for today. The focus is just how the company grew from two things: observing how the internet was growing, and from a bookstore to a store that then does many other things, right? Yeah, so it's that growth that ultimately can testify that when you start small, even starting small, it's just all about compounding your efforts and whatever it is that you're doing for you to be able to achieve the success that you want to achieve. So with that said, any closing remarks for today before we just conclude with the session? Livette, anything? Magdalene, Elizabeth?
Okay, I'll just add on the story for Amazon. I noticed that they had a constant habit of improvement and risk-taking, and they were not content with just one type or form of achievement. For instance, when they initially ventured into different categories and then they later decided to focus on books, they didn't stop there, but they kept on improving. Even after the lawsuits were raised against them, they kept on improving.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks for that, Elizabeth. That's definitely something to note. I saw Magdalene as well wanted to say something.
Not every failure is a failure. Some failures are a success.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for that. Beautifully said, Magdalene. Thanks for that. We can take one more. Elizabeth, anything?
Yes. So I think what I've learned is that, of course, as a business, there may be issues or challenges, but along with that as well, as a business, you can also see opportunities that come along. I think one thing that I have learned is that Amazon did not stop exploring the internet. Besides having a store, they now have a cloud service, which is something that I can say it speaks to one of those the diversification part that, of course, maybe they may be losing money or making losses in the e-commerce platform, but in the cloud service they are making money. That is now canceling out the losses that they're having. So it speaks to having that overview to say, of course, this one cannot be working, but you can do something that can be somehow complementary to whatever effort that you are doing. Then at the end of the day, you'll be trying to make the profit or trying to make the benefits after all.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing that perspective. Actually, if you combine what Livette has said and what Magdalene said, even what Elizabeth said, Magdalene talked about how not every loss is a loss. We can learn that when it comes to compounding, there is no loss in compounding, right? When you compound habits, there's no loss. For example, Amazon was able to compound their customer growth. Okay, they kept on growing their customer base. Now you know how it is. If you're going to have customers buying, like 40% of online sales on the internet are on your store, it means you've got powerful savers, right? You've got big savers to facilitate that. Now those same savers, they're the ones now that they started renting out to make now money, like real money, right? So as much as they were making losses on online sales, they ended up opening other revenue streams, which opened up more revenue streams in the future. So it's kind of like how habits, like, you know how habits are interconnected. So you start working out today, and all of a sudden that habits builds into something else and into something else, and like that, and things are good. Thank you very much, everybody, for the perspectives that you've brought today. Thank you for joining. So this was the Financial Literacy Forum today. I hope we picked out one or two things for us to just continue to develop and grow ourselves as far as our financial future is concerned. So with that said, it's a goodbye from myself and the team. And till next time, bye-bye for now.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Thank you. See you next time.